Meet the Pacific Northwest's most elusive outlaw, a hardened career criminal, a man with 25 convictions, 16 felonies, and a reputation so ridiculous that police departments across several counties wanted to put their foot up his arse. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Loony John Franklin Kolb Toon. No, seriously, that is his actual government-printed legal name, Loony Toon. Born in 1982, presumably because his parents looked at a newborn infant and said, I think it would build character if our son's name was the source of all his adversity. Needless to say, Looney grew up to be a giant turd. Most people with a name this stupid try not to draw attention to themselves. Not Looney. Looney decided to lean so hard into the gangster lifestyle that he explicitly told real-life state investigators, and this is a direct quote, "I will continue being a gangster and a criminal, and there's no end in sight." Mr. O.G. Elmer Fudd was already on probation for attempted kidnapping and had previous arrests for fleeing and eluding, as well as felon in possession of a firearm. This guy was a complete menace to society, and he wasn't the least bit ashamed of it. The legend truly began in June of 2025 in the town of Milwaukie, Oregon. Local police pull over a car, normal stuff, but then they run the driver's ID and realize this clown has an active felony warrant. Before the police can fully grasp the absurdity of his name, Looney realizes the jig's up. But instead of going quietly, he decides to turn a routine traffic stop into a full-blown Michael Bay movie. He stomps on the gas, pulls out a gun, and starts blasting out the window at 3 pursuing police cars. He is officially doing the absolute most. Can you imagine being the dispatch officer trying to radio this in?
Dispatch, we are under fire. Suspect is heading north, requesting backup.
Copy that. What's the suspect's name?
It's Looney Toon, Linda. Send the whole department. We have a wascally rabbit on our hands.
So Looney realizes his car isn't going to outrun the cops forever. You can only drive on bare metal rims for so long after ramming a patrol car and shredding your tires across police bike strips. He needs an extra strategy, a tactical, high IQ, brilliant escape plan. Naturally, he opts for the absolute opposite. He violently crashes his smoking SUV right by the railroad tracks on Southeast Tacoma Street, and in a true display of chivalry, he looks at his female passenger and basically says, "Bye, Felicia, good luck with the popo." He leaves her in the wreckage to take the entire blame and scrambles over a fence on foot. And where does a felon go to hide from the law? Straight onto the manicured lawns of the Eastmoreland golf course. Picture this. The year is 2025. It's a beautiful summer afternoon in Oregon. You're a retired dentist named Arthur. You're wearing a crisp, pastel pink polo shirt, khaki pants, and you are actively trying to fix your terrible golf slice on the fairway of the 14th hole. You are worrying about your retirement fund and your back pain. Suddenly, the tranquil silence of the country club is absolutely shattered. Portland Police tactical teams in full combat gear are sprinting past the sand traps. Canine tracking units are aggressively sniffing the putting greens. Police drones are buzzing overhead like giant angry hornets. The entire country club is locked down. Why? Because an elite tactical task force is playing the highest stakes game of hide-and-seek in Oregon history, while Looney is currently crouching in the tall grass of the rough like he's hunting for webbits. Now, you would think a guy named Loony Toon hiding on a highly visible, wide-open golf course surrounded by helicopters would be caught in about 12 minutes. But this isn't the cartoons, it's reality. Somehow, Looney completely baffles the police perimeter. He slips through the dragnet, bypasses the canine units, and completely vanishes into thin air. He is officially a ghost. For 3 straight days, law enforcement agencies are looking at each other in utter embarrassment. Local news stations are broadcasting his name. The public is checking their backyards. Finally, the federal government has to step in. The United States Marshals Service gets deployed to find a real-life cartoon villain. On day 3, they track him down to an apartment complex in the city of Sandy. It's finally over. No more running, no more golf courses, no more blasting out the window. Just a nice set of metal bracelets. But catching him was only half the problem. When it came time for the court proceedings, the prosecutors realized they didn't have a case. They had a massive cross-state jigsaw puzzle on their hands. Looney hadn't just committed crime during this one wild traffic stop. No, he had spent the last several years leaving a trail of pure, unadulterated chaos across 5 entirely different Oregon jurisdictions, rolling through like the Tasmanian devil. We are talking about Clackamas County, Washington County, Benton County, Yamhill County, and Columbia County. He was collecting criminal charges like they were Pokemon badges. The legal system looked at the sheer volume of paperwork and realized a standard trial would take years. So they hit the bureaucratic panic button. They offered him what the legal world calls a global plea agreement. This is essentially the state of Oregon pulling up a chair, looking at the towering rap sheet, and saying, "Look, Looney, we do not have the time, the budget, or the physical paper to put you on trial 15 separate times in 5 different cities. Just sign right here, accept 20 years in a maximum security prison, and let's call it a day." And just like that, Loony John Franklin Kolb Toon was sentenced to 2 full decades behind bars. Think about his life for a second. For 43 years, people probably giggled every single time this man had to show his ID to a bartender, a bank teller, or a bouncer. He endured a lifetime of cartoon jokes. But now, the dynamic completely flips. He gets to walk right into a maximum security prison yard, look the most terrifying hardened criminal in the eye, and say, "Yep, my name is Loony Toon. I'm the meanest, roughest, toughest hombre that ever crossed the Rio Grande, and I ain't no mamby-pamby. I'm the guy who shot at 3 cops and shut down an entire country club." So, was Looney's decades-long life of crime just a psychological byproduct of his absurd name? Was he spending his entire adulthood radically overcompensating to prove he wasn't a joke? It's hard to say. Maybe if his parents named him Bob, he'd be an accountant right now. But what do you think? Drop a comment below. That's all, folks.